Hey guys, we're joking. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Chiss Ascendancy. We need Jack Black to make a guest appearance one time and just go when we start that. That'd be sick. Episode 21 today. We're talking about the child.
The child. I would like to see the child.
But first, we got a simple couple of news items. Thrawn, the new trilogy, Chaos Rising, I think is the first one, is coming out a month early. So it's supposed to be coming out in like September, October. I think it's coming out in August now.
Let
me look.
Yeah. You said they pushed it up a month, and I was like, oh, sweet. If I remember, I think it was supposed to come out in October.
So maybe September?
Maybe September. We'll wait.
Alright, it's coming out, expected on October 6th, so it's coming out in September.
Nice. Dang, that's a day before something happens.
Your birthday. Also, this is a Social Security number. Just kidding. But that's pretty big. And then, what else? There was something else, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, Star Wars stuff. Oh, they just announced today, got leaked. There's a new, I think it's called Squadrons. It's a new game by EA.
Yeah,
too bad it's not EA Sports. It's in the game. That'd been sick.
Yeah, they just stopped doing
Battlefront updates.
Yeah, this last one was the last one.
So if you're a Starfighter driver kind of game person, this is for you.
For me, this feels like
not my fave genre.
Like when I would play Assassin's Creed, like my least favorite times were sailing the boats. I just felt like it was boring and it took a lot of effort.
Yeah, being the pirate is cool.
But then Black Flag came out, and then I was like, this game is nothing but the worst part of the other games for me. So that's how I kind of feel like.
Yeah,
there's Starfighter game.
Yeah, there's some people that love pod racing or things like that. It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah, I'm terrible at it. You know what was cool though?
2005 Battlefront 2. I would opt to skip the space missions every Galactic Conquest.
And then you have remember when they launched the Star Wars Renegade Squadron only for the PSP?
Yes.
When you played that game, you could autopilot lock onto your target.
I guess that's kind of cool, but I don't know. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But at least it made me feel like I was competent because I'd be like, all right, do the work for me. Fire! With my right index finger. So that's just a couple of newsies. I don't think there's anything else. I did read an article earlier this week. They asked Dave Filoni if he was going to do more Clone Wars, and he said it's really hard to go back and do more when it felt so good to have finished the story of the Clone Wars with the episodes they just put out.
Right. Well,
it would be hard to...
I wouldn't want them to do more because they gave it a really good send-off.
Right.
Like where it was at before, there was, you know what I mean? There was still space there. There was still exploration. And I guess...
Siege of Mandalore was the way to send it off.
Yeah, I guess theoretically you could see the other thing that's going on. Like Lion King 2.5. You know, just like a third point of view.
Yeah.
You know, leading up to Order 66. But I feel like they did a pretty good job, especially for all the Ahsoka fans.
Right.
Kind of wrapping up, you know, where she was at. And...
It was really cool because he talked about how he said he knew that the Trace and Rafa arc would be something that would be like kind of random to be in the last season, but he said that it was very important to him to have a regular view on the war versus just Jedi or just clones or just whatever. That's what it was really important to him. And he said it was important because he said there's a lot of fans that aren't going to get this, but this is going to be some people's first or only time to watch Clone Wars. Yeah. And they need that third eye that you're talking about that shows this is what the war is looking like to everyone else. So anyways, he said probably not, but he said he's very excited. He loves working in the Star Wars universe. Obviously, he's going to be in Mandalorian Season 2.
I would love to work in the Star Wars universe.
So he's also going to be working on other animation stuff. So, man, as we get news, we're going to send it your way. But today
it's all about the child. It's kid stuff.
Kids stuff.
Kids dish.
So here we go.
Yeah, I like. I don't know. I just feel like we've had him on the wall for a while, and
Yeah.
he hasn't
It's
been.
he looks so much like Cash, my
Yeah.
youngest son. So I keep being up there like, oh, there's Cash. But today is Child's Day.
Let's do it.
That's why we need Jack Black in here. Imagine that tasty lick is done. It's like, you just hear, yeah!
I'm not good enough for you, huh?
Well, if you want to do that, go for it.
It would
Don't want to put you on the spot.
It would be so loud in this microphone.
I know. I'd be like,
It would
3,
be-
2, 1.
It'd be hurting your ears just doing it in the room.
Yeah, sometimes it hurts our ears when we're just breathing in here with these headphones on.
Right.
But we're talking about the child.
I would like to see.
He just dies right there on the spot.
Your I would like to see the child. Your Werner Herzog impression is similar to Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, it's because I'm just like constantly exhaling the entire time I'm doing it.
Yeah, you know what I've always wanted to... I saw
I guess
a clip.
like that sounds stupid because if you read too much into that, you're like,
Yeah, you're always exhaling when you're talking.
but you're not like breathing out like you're in a meditation.
I saw recently a post of another Star Wars podcast that I totally forgot the name, so I apologize. But they had Mark Thompson, the guy who reads 90% of the Star Wars audiobooks.
Yeah, he's my hero.
And they're saying, what would Han Solo think about this? What would, all this other stuff? And their last one was, what would Thrawn, could you do a reading for this with Thrawn's voice? And I would ask him as a follow-up question, hey, how out of breath are you when you do a sentence as Thrawn? Because,
He seemed to have pretty good breath control.
I know.
I was impressed.
But, to hear him, it just sounds so breathy.
Well, and it's...
To defeat an enemy, you must know them.
It sounds amazing. But every time I picture him recording in my mind's eye, he's like...
I don't know. I feel like he's just in a trance the entire time.
Yeah.
Thrawn is low-key the most zen character. It's also kind of like...
Yeah, what if you have to do stuff that the characters are doing, so no matter what, you're on a treadmill when you're Han Solo, you're like, hey, let's get out of here. Because he's always on the move, he's always in trouble, and then if you're doing Thrawn, you're just in a float tank.
Who is voicing Thrawn would probably say.
Perhaps.
No, they would say...
Oh, that was really good, though.
Bring me my opium.
Oh! Ooh, the old switcheroo.
It
You're the
makes
one that
a
did
comeback.
It this time.
Yeah. It's fine when I do it. That's how it is with pet peeves, right? You're like, I hate it when everybody else does it, but when I do it, it's fine.
Yeah. Especially eating.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes if I'm eating loud chips and I'm just alone, I'm like, God, could these chips be any louder?
But you're still mad at the chip. You're not
Yeah.
even mad at yourself.
I'm never mad at the person if they're eating loud food. It's not
Yeah.
their fault.
It's not their fault, but it is still irritating.
Yeah.
If you're at a Mexican restaurant, and you're like...
No.
Even if you're...
Everybody in a Mexican restaurant gets a pass. That's
but
that's
if you're
my happy
eating...
place.
If you're eating, chips and salsa, even if your mouth is closed, those chips are so loud.
The only unforgivable sin in a Mexican restaurant is, one, encouraging the mariachi band to play louder. Bonus is when that person orders the smoking fajita plate and everybody smells like a beef cigar for the rest of the day.
Dude.
I'd like to meet that guy in the parking lot.
You remember when Dad used to order, but a fajita plate comes steaming. That's just the way it is. So Dad would be like, hey, bring me fajitas, but under that smoke. And they're like, dude, but sir.
I've never understood, though. No, they put them on. It's like those candles that don't blow out. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? I've never seen someone have fajitas and they're not steaming.
Yeah, there's steam coming off, but it's not like a daggum small brush fire coming off the plate. That's a special plate that they put it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I can make fajitas at home, and they are not sizzling for the next half hour. I can tell you that.
All I know is that I'm hungry for some fajitas now.
Dude, I would. destroy some fajitas. Let's keep going.
Okay. So today, what we're talking about, obviously, we're talking about Baby Yoda, but that's not what he's called.
Yeah, for all the people out there who are ready to already put us on the cross, we're going to do our best to call him the child because we know that he's the child.
The child, or
the asset.
The asset, they also call him, which is, he's more than just his
And
asset.
to be fair, there are a lot of misconceptions that come with people calling him Baby Yoda.
Right.
Because I've read a lot of people being like, is Yoda his dad?
Yeah.
And I guess, like, to be fair, on the other end of things, though, Yoda species was, up until this point, called Yoda species.
Yeah. I mean, that we know of, it's still called, like...
Right. So technically, he is a Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
A Baby Yoda species.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to clear the air around...
we know what he's called.
To clear the air around Yoda's chasteness...
What?
His chastity. He was the most pious of all the Jedi Order. He was once the most dedicated of us all.
Yeah.
So 0% chance him and Yaddle had a baby-making contract.
And we are going to address that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because that's what Coyote Mundi had. Remember that? Christmas tree head guy?
Yeah, I know who Coyote Mundi is.
Yeah, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? For those of you at home. He was able to have wives because they weren't considered an attachment because his species was endangered.
Well, that guy's just living the life.
I know.
Dude, Avaros was right all along. He was like,
doesn't mean you
can't get laid.
Yeah, Kenny was like, no attachments. I'll call you when I'm saving the species in the mood. So, what we did...
He's just trying to, like, divert attention. What about the droid attack on the Wookiees? And he's like, I'll be in a second, baby.
Anakin's like...
Winking out the back tear. Anakin's like,
what gives? Yeah, it's not fair. How can you be on the...
It's outrageous. It's unfair.
How can you be on the council and not be a master? And how come Coyote Mundi's getting laid? Yeah. So what we did was we looked up what are some main questions that people have. What are some things that
it's
they
nice
want to know.
Get some third-party perspective because there are things that I just take for granted that I'm like...
Go daggers.
Yeah, right. Nice. And
I totally threw you off. Sorry.
But I just remember talking to a friend, and he was just asking me stuff about Star Wars, and I was like, yeah, for better or for worse, I just happen to have, all this information stored away.
Are you talking about me?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, all that to say, I take for granted things that, like, I just understand because of the thousands of pages of Star Wars that I've inhaled over my lifetime.
How many hours of Star Wars material do you think we've watched combined?
Watched and or listened to?
Yeah.
The limit does not exist. That's a Mean Girls reference.
Dude, I bet you it's over a year's worth.
I don't know. Just me. Well, and to be fair, a lot of my audiobook listening time has not been all Star Wars. But I recently looked at my Audible subscription.
It's like almost 3 months.
And I've listened to almost 3 months of audio, which is insane.
That's pretty wild. When you go to sleep, do you have a timer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
Just depends on how tired I feel. Like, I'm like, I'll be asleep in 15 minutes, and I'll put a 15-minute timer on, but then there's times that I'm, like, trying to get to bed, and I'm like, this is a 45-minute kind of night, where I'm just, like, enjoying while I'm getting there.
My timer's on 8 minutes.
Yeah.
If I hear someone start talking for 8 minutes, I'm out.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I guess my brain's just been trained for all the lectures that I sat through. I'm, like, hearing somebody talking, it's like, it's awake time.
That makes sense.
Also, it depends on how interested I am in the book. It's just like a lot of moving parts. But on to the child.
The child. I need the child to sell for my opium.
What if that's where Baby Yoda came from? He was just pawned off on somebody for an opium habit. How did he get in the hand of all the Trandoshans?
Well,
he was with Weequays, huh?
Weequays.
And then the Trandoshans tried to get him.
Which
Dude, it's like the worst possible species to be among. I've never seen a
Weequays?
Weequay that wasn't like employed by Jabba or freaking Hondo.
Well, if you read, I have a dog hair in my mouth. Wrestling with your dog. There's the Republic Commando series. How many of those have you read? A few?
I tried to get into them when I was younger. And then I got like 25 pages in, and I read the words Pod Brothers like maybe 50 times. And I was like, can't do it. Can't do it. But I was like 12 at the time.
Karen Travis is all about the Brotherhood of the Clones.
Yeah.
One of my
I
favorite
probably
Star Wars
appreciate
authors.
it more now because I'm like all about the boys.
Yeah. No, you'd like it. But the very first one called Hard Contact, maybe? Anyways, there's they basically talk about like she, in other words, is like Weequays are just retarded. Like the way that she describes them, they're like low mental capacity, super low. You catch my drift. In parentheses, wink, wink. Really low mental capacity, Weequays.
It's like my IQ's been measured in the upper double digits.
Yeah. So every time I see a Weequay, I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Don't give them too hard of a time. They have a low mental capacity.
They're out there trying. They
So-
know how to operate a daggum E-web like nobody's business, I'll tell you what. You may have noticed some things change between last frame and this frame. Shortly after where we left off, Josiah spilled his drink all over everything on this table.
Yeah.
But I think we've cleaned it up without too big a deal. And then actually what happened after that was I was wiping off the last dregs and knocked over my drink onto Josiah's headphones. So
The good thing is,
now you can wear your hat.
now I can wear my nice hat. So, the whole freaking joke that we were trying to make this whole time before we almost ended our entire podcast existence was that Weequays are not the brightest crayon in the box. So whenever they're just getting mowed down by IG-11, I'm like, oh, that's just wrong. But I think that the Baby Yoda's being there, I don't think he was there his whole life.
Yeah, probably not. Well, and I know all the beacons were there. It's not unlikely that the Weequays would have like captured him in an effort to get the money for him.
Stole him from
Yeah.
someone or something.
They're not like the work alone type. You know what I mean?
For sure. Besides Hondo.
But even Hondo has his like whole crew. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I guess you. When you said alone, my thought was like on their own initiative.
I'm alone in here.
I'm alone in here.
Yeah, no, they're community type.
Not the mama.
Let's see. Did Yoda know about Baby Yoda? Are there others? No way to know for sure. I suspect that he does not know, because I feel like if Yoda had known, he would have done something to procure him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he was too much in the know.
No. Well, and he was otherwise preoccupied.
Well, he was preoccupied, and the fact that the way that would work, if he wasn't directly involved in his being around, the way that you know someone's alive or has a strong force presence or whatever is the force within you identifies a strong presence of the force in another being. So the fact that Baby Yoda, like, he can use the force, but it's very exhausting for him, doesn't speak very much of a strong aura.
Well, and I know that the Jedi Order as a whole have those holocrons of all the Force-sensitive children. I don't know that I know how those lists are made.
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Because you hear about the Jedi Mystics, right? They're consumed with prophecy. I don't know.
I think part of the...
Because they have this whole list of all these children across the galaxy.
Yeah, that's weird.
But those kids are like, what, 2 years old tops?
Yeah. No, they're not even 2. I mean, obviously because it's Star Wars, species age differently, but they seem like they're less than a year old.
Right.
So,
Infants.
how does that work?
I don't know. Good question.
Maybe because they're part of the Republic, if you have a baby within the Republic's whatever, they take all their charts
Well,
and they submit that
but
to
how
the
would
Jedi.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about... Because I know the holocrons
what,
are
though?
like closely guarded.
Yeah, it
you know
has
what
to
I
be
mean?
done by the Jedi themselves, because if that information was somewhere in the cloud,
Right.
Sidious would have gotten it from
Well,
the cloud.
and I like how you're using the cloud.
Thanks.
It's all stored in Bespin. Because I feel like Anakin would have been discovered more quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that would, yeah.
Because he would have been tracked
All the
even more
places
closely
that-
because he was considered property. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think also that because he's in the Outer Rim and he's a slave, that it's like he wouldn't have had his shots and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that the babies that they go and find are on Rhodia and on all these other, like planets that have a culture. Like, I think Anakin's kind of on a backwater. We know a lot about Tatooine, but Tatooine in the Star Wars universe is not a big deal by any means. So I don't think Yoda knew about Baby Yoda. Are there others, perhaps?
Again, no way to know. He's what, the third one ever we've seen?
Third one ever. Yoda, Yaddle, Baby Yoda / the child.
The child, the asset.
I don't think that there are others, but there could be.
Well, I mean, there have to be, because he has to have parents somewhere.
That's true.
One interesting question that I saw was he hatched or was he born?
He does seem reptilian.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He might have been hatched.
We know that he has claws.
Right. Well, and to me, it would kind of make sense if he were hatched because they have like a long gestation period, right? So he's just like in his infancy, and he's 55.
Yeah, 50.
So it would make sense that they would just kind of like exist dormant in an egg. You know what I mean? Because you got to think about how long would the pregnancy be.
Yeah, that's true. Everything in that species is very elongated.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're pregnant for like 30 years?
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like dragons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, in the Aragon series, you have dragons that they don't even
Right.
hatch until the right person's next to them.
Right. Crazy.
So that's wild.
Well, and you think about like, never mind. We won't get too deep into that.
Okay, why are people after Baby Yoda? We took questions from the Los Angeles Times that people had. So some were pretty serious and then some were kind of silly. Some were very repetitive. Why are people after Baby Yoda? What does the client, Werner Herzog's character, and the Empire want with him?
I think it's probably somewhere similar. I mean, this is just me theorizing because we don't know for sure, but we know he wanted to conduct genetic experiments. Like, it was important that he was in good health.
Well, that guy that is next to the client, when the client says, if you have to, you can kill him. And he's like, that's not part of the deal. That younger guy with the shades and the lined up beard and everything. The patch on his sleeve is similar to a Kaminoan patch that you see the clone troopers wearing.
Yeah.
on
He's like a
Kamino.
geneticist for sure.
So I think that maybe it's because they want to study. Well, here's the thing also. Nobody has seen a Jedi or a Sith in a long time.
Right.
So maybe they just want to study force
See
sensitivity
if it's replicable.
and see if they can create it.
And
Because
another thing,
the Empire's on their last leg.
right? And if he were affiliated with Kamino at all, it would be interesting to him just from a genetic standpoint to have samples.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Can it be replicated?
Such a rare species, and apparently, we've got a 100% success rate. Kind of moving into the next question,
Yeah.
or a couple questions up. Are they all force sensitive? I mean, we're 3 for 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You only have
Not that it's unlikely that a force sensitive person would come to the fore, because that's all Star Wars is about. But we see plenty of non-force sensitive people.
right. Well, that's what our whole last episode was about.
Yeah, and I guess I just think it's the only species I'm aware of that every character we see in that species is force sensitive.
Right. Well, it's kind of like
With the
you have
exception
to have
of like the nebula species like we see in the Mortis arc.
Yeah, you have to have a before you can conduct an experiment, you've got to have a lot of quantifiable data.
Right, you got to have a baseline.
So really, it's kind of like if you're watching the NBA and in the playoffs, if let's say that Dwight Howard this year for the Lakers shoots a 3-pointer and he makes it. If he's never shot a 3-pointer in the playoffs before, that doesn't make him the best 3-point shooter
That's
ever.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's
we
1
have
for 1.
A really small pool.
Right, but that's the thing is we only have the small pool, but the pool that we have, it's 100% success
Right.
rate. So what we know, yes.
Scientifically, that would be called accuracy, but it would not be classified as precision.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's deep. All right, who else knows about Baby Yoda? Not very many people.
All the bounty hunters, but it seems like nobody that was informed of Baby Yoda's existence actually know anything about him. And then I would guess
I think they
people
know now.
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
not as much. You know what I mean? Even
Right.
people who knew of the Jedi didn't know what they were capable of, or if they were all rumors. And then I think Moff Gideon was probably
Yeah, Moff Gideon
apprised.
definitely knows what's going on.
Yeah,
because
he's the most in the know for sure.
Because he says, remember there's that line that says, "You think you know what you have, but it's worth far more than you know,"
Yeah,
or something
classic
like
Gus.
that. Yeah, Gus Fring. Man, I could go for some chicken.
That dude is always in the know in like every role he's ever
Yeah,
played.
for sure. Hey, remember that movie Peter Benchley's Creature?
Yeah,
You remember that?
yeah, he's
the guy that's like,
scientist.
it's part of me.
Yeah,
He was in the know then too.
yep.
Daggum. We need to find that movie and watch the other. We've seen the first half like 7 times.
Yeah, I remember we went back to rewatch it like 2 years ago, and I was like, "This is a disappointment compared to what I remember it." But I also, I think
we were
like,
like 7.
yeah, but we were like reined in somewhere and
Yeah.
having to watch crappy daytime television.
I think it was like vacation, but our parents had an appointment or something. We were like, fine,
Yeah.
Let's see. Does the species have a name? As of right now, online, it's called Yoda's
yeah.
species, but in the Star Wars universe, there's no name.
Yeah, none that we know of. Yoda kept his personal life very close to his chest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Ron Swanson.
Mm-hmm. Was Baby Yoda born, hatched from an egg,
Okay,
cloned
there
in a
we go.
lab? We don't know. We do know, though, that he's not cloned.
Yeah.
Because Queel says he has imperfections.
Right.
And so
That would have been ruled out if he were a genetic.
Yeah, if
production.
he were far enough in the cloning process that he had gotten out, then there would have been things that were wrong that it would be...
Right. When you got to think about the general lifespan of a clone, especially of a species of this caliber, it would make no sense for them to have no age acceleration.
That's a good point, too.
Because of all the species I
they
can
need
think
him
of,
to get to
exactly
where he needs to be.
Exactly. I mean, because
'cause
even
it's
with accelerated growth,
Yeah.
that guy would last forever.
Yeah, clones are... It's a 2 to 1.
Yeah.
You would
You'd want
need
this
a...
guy to be like a 5 to 1.
Yeah. And he... Yeah.
Maybe even a 10 to 1. He would still live to be 80 years old.
Yeah.
You think of it as like a real diamond versus like a CZ. You know what I mean? Like a real diamond, it has imperfections, and that's how you identify it from the fake things that generally have fewer or no
Something you can create.
imperfections. Yeah.
Next one is, does he have parents or siblings?
Again, unknowable. I mean, obviously he has parents
Yeah, supposedly.
or a parent.
And that's the...
Maybe
I guess
they
that's
reproduce
the other...
asexually.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, what if he's Yoda's son, but he can just create by himself?
What if he's budded? What if... Oh, no. That timeline wouldn't line up. Well, maybe it would. Like, Plagueis was having that experiment, and the Force pushed back and created Anakin, and the Force pushed back again and made Baby Yoda.
That'd be wild. I have a question about where was Baby Yoda in Rise of Skywalker?
Right. Those are things we're all wondering.
You know?
Also, where was he during the entire prequel trilogy and episodes 4 through 6?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was there for all of it.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
true.
anybody who would have been in charge of him would have been aware that he would have been basically incommunicado for the next 50 plus years.
Mm-hmm. Does the Mandalorian do Baby Yoda's laundry? I assume yes.
Space laundry, yeah. I feel like laundry in Star Wars is not at all
A big deal.
Yeah, well, and we've read things like from a certain point of view for episode 4. They talk about things like getting your laundry back, or you see in episode 8, they have the thing. It looked like a ship landing, and it was just an iron. So
Well, that's a little bit of news. From a certain point of view for Empire Strikes Back comes out in November.
Good point.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. But yeah, I guess
There's going to be a clue horn in there somewhere, but there's also going to be some good stuff.
Yeah. If you don't know, there's like an hour and a half. I think we've talked about it before, but there's like an hour and a half storyline. And I say this in an hour and a half because I listened to it in the audio version. But
we're also
the
completists,
reader,
so if we're
I
gonna
think the
listen
reader
to
was
the book-
Mark Thompson. Bless his heart, had to read the whole first half of that story, which was a boring story in its entirety, but the first of it was a monologue of a Bith.
No, it was a monologue
The bat guy.
of a Chadra fan.
Chadra fan. So he had like the
Kabe.
little bat voice.
Oh no! He stole the clue horn. Yeah.
And
you can always get up there. I'm impressed every time.
Thank you. But yeah, no, it was just absolutely like nails on a chalkboard. So hopefully there are fewer of those arcs, and if they do exist, they're not as long. Because that was easily the longest story in the book.
For sure. Yeah, but we need more Claudia. As long as Claudia Gray's going to write. That's all I need. Because she's the one that wrote frickin' Master and Apprentice.
Right.
She wrote the one about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan
What
from episode 4.
Well, because from a certain point of view, she called it Master and Apprentice. And I think she probably borrowed that title, or it was the inspiration for her book.
And that's the one that shows that Qui-Gon ended up, yes, he was
completing his training.
Which was, I thought that was so cool, and it really showed me how limited my mind was, because...
You think it's...
I was like, oh, he's dead, he can't,
Yeah,
that's deep.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon continued his training
Luminous beings, are we?
Not this.
I'm interested to see... I mean, again, we're kind of getting a little off topic, but we're here, so I'm going to say something. I'm interested to see how Yoda views Luke's training, because most of Luke's training we see from Luke's point of view, because Luke's the protagonist.
Concentrate.
Yeah, hilarious. But I just want to see what Yoda's thinking. I want to see his thought process. I want to see what led up to the decision for him to act like a crazy person. When he first met Luke.
Yeah, maybe he's just kind of testing the waters.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's...
I wonder if, how when you
pretty heavily implied, but...
We had a principal growing up named Mr. Anderson. And we earlier today we were talking about how his genetic gene pool is like so freaking strong. All his kids look like him. I wonder if in the Force your aura is similar to that of your parents. Like if Yoda can kind of feel out and he can feel the Force strong within Luke.
I would say so, but I think maybe it's like...
At the same time, though...
Less decipherable the weaker you are. Because none of the other Jedi really seem to see the clones as individuals, but Yoda from the get sees how different they are. Yeah. And that's just kind of the difference between like a regular Jedi Master and a Grand Master.
And that's so interesting, too, because you would think... Man, the folly of the Jedi, man. If you think that anyone would want to see things from every side... And
you think it would be them.
You think it'd be Yoda. But Qui-Gon was bringing in the truth and nobody wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
So, back to the Baby Yoda questions. Here's the next one. What else does Baby Yoda eat? Are there things he cannot eat?
Hard food?
We know he's carnivorous because he eats that frog.
Yeah, this is true.
And then Yoda eats like some stew when he's on Dagobah with Luke.
And he eats... Luke's little, those pastry straws that you get and you can pretend you're smoking cigars. He's doing those.
Yeah.
Or those little, I guess they also look like taquitos.
So
I wonder if they really taquitos.
I wonder, he probably eats, he seems like he's a carnivorous species. Yeah. So.
An ambivore, I believe is what it's called.
Bugs and things. Is Baby Yoda potty trained? He's 50, so he needs to get on it.
Can you imagine that task? It took us 2.5 weeks to potty train Wolf. We're still working on it. He's only been a baby for 2.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be rough. What will be Baby Yoda's first words? And talk like Yoda, will he?
I don't know. I don't really care. Dad!
Yeah, maybe Dada. Or Dad. Let's see. This is a weird question. How long will Baby Yoda remain a baby/toddler? Does he age linearly?
I would think he ages linearly because if we're going to look at this from an evolutionary standpoint, it makes no sense for a creature to be in its infancy for 50 years if they're just going to speed up right after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's any time of life you want to skip right past, it's the time when they're the most helpless.
Right.
You see that in nature. You see a baby deer pops out.
They can walk.
It's already ready to eat, man. It knows what water is. It knows where the grass is. It's making itself sandwiches, bro.
Yeah, you watch a
baby human.
Horse, yeah, you watch a horse being born. Yeah, you see a horse being born and
flops out of there like a fish.
Flops out of there and they're like, and then you have to rub it with the blanket, and then 24
hours
later, they're faster than me.
Yeah, and he's already getting his tongue stuck on icicles and stuff. We watched Spirit recently. But
it seems like Bryan Adams.
Yeah.
It sounds like Matt Damon.
Yeah. I can't really imagine a species staying a baby for 50 years and then being like, I'm grown up now.
For folks at home that don't know what aging linearly means, do they explain that?
Yeah, so
at the same pace basically.
Yeah, the difference would be if sorry to take you to math class, but you had to do the graphs that you hated y is equal to mx plus b.
Mm-hmm.
A linear graph looks like this, and it has the same slope forever and ever and ever and ever. An exponential is where its rate of increase is greater than its x slope. Its y slope is bigger than its x slope.
So the years don't matter.
Right. So
at some point
exponential. Exactly. So eventually he would just age. Also, that wouldn't make sense because then he would just die super fast.
Yeah, I would think that it's got to be linear because
it's got to be a linear lifespan.
He's 900 years old
right
when he dies.
Right.
Yoda, that is. Okay. This is kind of silly. Will he be called Teen Yoda even if he's 100 years old? So,
here's the thing. He's not actually called Baby Yoda now.
Right.
So it makes no sense for his name to change to Child or Teen
That's kind of
Yoda.
silly. We'll move on from that because there's a question down here that kind of answers it more. Where's Baby Yoda's homeworld? Heck if I know.
Yeah. We don't even know the daggum species name to kind of jump on another question.
Yeah. Does he have any additional abilities? I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah, we're gonna find that out for sure. He, I mean, he's just doing stuff, man.
I think. Well, we know he has healing abilities,
right,
and he has telekinesis. That's like his two main
that we've seen so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to have a pretty good read on when somebody's a threat.
You know what?
I like that.
Burns
we see
my biscuits.
A little bit of dark side intuition as well.
Cool. Well, he did. Remember, he
that's
choked
what I'm saying.
Cara Dune.
He choked her when he thought she was a threat. I also like the little
angry face,
evil face.
That was cool.
I was like, yeah, let it out.
Get it.
Let it out, Jamie.
You looked it up, Jamie. I really enjoyed that. Or I didn't enjoy it. It burned my biscuits. That
got your goat.
It got my goat. It, dude, somebody said it stirred my gravy the other day, and I was like, oh, it was Pastor Mike, my boss. He was like, that really stirs my gravy, like I guess in a good way. Floats my gravy. That's what he said. And I was like,
I was there for that one.
But anyways, what made me upset was before Rise of Skywalker comes out, Baby Yoda reaches up and he heals people, right? He tries to heal Mandalorian. He doesn't know what he's doing, but then he heals Grief Karga. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And then everybody's like, wow, how powerful. That's so sweet. He's a baby. He's healing people. And then Rey heals Kylo Ren. And everybody's like, oh, so I guess we could have just healed Qui-Gon Jinn then. And I'm like, you literally didn't care when a baby that probably poops itself on a regular basis reached up and had an instinct to heal. Yeah. I feel like if you have a natural a natural bend towards something in the Force,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Also, at this point, Rey's been spending like at least I don't know how much time's between 8 and 9.
A year,
like a year. So she's been spending a year with Luke's own journal.
Luke
has probably
talking to Leia
more about the Force than most of the Jedi.
Yes.
And this is his personal stash of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, it's his journal from his time talking to, because I know that he probably continued to talk to the past Jedi
for sure
before he cut himself off from the Force.
Right.
So he's got their wisdom, he's got his wisdom, and he's got the things that he's journeying around and finding. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So does he have any additional abilities? We'll see. Does he have a name? Does it start with Y? So here's what I was going to say with that when it came to Teen Yoda. Okay. I think eventually, maybe season 2. We're going to get his name.
I feel like now that Mando is keeping him around, he's got to get a name.
Right. So here's the thing. Bob Iger, former CEO of Disney, I don't know who the new guy's name is, but he and Jon Favreau.
They said he has a name for
Kathleen
sure.
Kennedy,
but we don't know what it is.
So I think there's like a handful. I think there's like 3 or 5 people in the entire world who know what his name is. And they said on campus they call him the child or the asset. Baby Yoda is like illegal. Like it's like a really like a hammered point. You don't say that. But they do know.
Can you imagine getting Yoda fired for saying Baby Yoda?
Can you imagine Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni turning around and going, "That's not his name. You don't say that."
Yeah, I can imagine.
Dave Filoni. But yeah,
with his Indiana Jones hat.
They say that his name is known, but it's like hush, 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 hush. Like I think that John, Bob Iger, probably the new CEO guy now, Kathleen Kennedy, and maybe Dave Filoni. But that's it.
I'm excited.
So will Mando give Baby Yoda a name or keep calling him the kid?
Yeah, they're clan now. He's got to have a name.
So he could either give him,
now that he's officially his guardian.
Yeah. But at the same time, the Mandalorian's name, Din Djarin, was something that he wasn't going to tell anyone until Moff Gideon said it. So I can see him being like, yeah, this is the kid, whatever. So we'll see. I think really what'll happen is his name will be revealed. Either Mando gives him one.
I'm the Mandalorian. This is also the Mandalorian.
Yeah, this is Mini Mandalorian. I think that his official name, if all the rumors are to be believed and Ahsoka and them come into play, and if there is another group of Yoda species somewhere, we meet them, I think that's when his actual name, you know?
Here's what I really don't want is kind of that flippant treatment that we kind of got with Zeb's species in the Rebels, where there's like, oh, you know, Zeb was basically Tigger, and then, surprise, you know, here's this whole secret Tigger civilization.
Yeah, how does that
And
work?
double surprise, here's a Tigger planet.
Yeah.
Or it's just like Kung Fu Panda when Poe's like, I'm the only one, and then it's like, oh, surprise, whole civilization, here's a movie. I don't want it to just be like, oh, there's a whole secret galaxy of Yodas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I like the exclusivity of it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Or if there was a way that they could say, yeah, they think he's 50 years old, but he's really 5 or whatever, and they make it where, like, there's one male and one female at a time.
Like dog ears in reverse.
I don't know. Just, it would be cool if Yoda's, like, being was...
Like reincarnation, like an exclusively reincarnated species.
That'd be cool.
And that's why they're all Force sensitive, because they're all inspired by the Force.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
I doubt that's going to happen, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, just new boot goofing.
Just new boot goofing.
Last question on here. What is the acceptable age to give Baby Yoda a lightsaber?
All right, so let's think. So the Padawans get their own lightsaber crystal. I'd say about 6 to 8.
Yeah.
It seems about right.
Well, maybe a little bit older than that even.
I don't know. Those kids seem like... All right, so let's just say 8 to 10. We'll be conservative. So he is like maybe 2 years the way he behaves. 2 years in a human lifespan. So we're looking at like...
maybe even younger, I guess.
Let's just say 2. So that's 25 to 1, just for the roundness of the numbers.
Okay.
All right, so then that would make it times 5, which would be 150. Oh my god, 125. Wow. So like...
Man.
Or no, 5 times 50. 250. I was right the first time. Sorry, I was thinking 25 for some reason. Yeah, like 250. So give him another 170 years. And
yeah, we'll see.
We'll be talking about it.
Yeah, I think he I don't know. I don't think that I don't think they're gonna give him a lightsaber in this show. What do you think?
I don't know. I wonder if they all die, a la Rogue One.
That would be sad. It is interesting. It's interesting because I know that they can't. The reason that Baby Yoda and all them weren't in Episode 9 is because it would bottleneck them into, well, this has to happen.
Right.
Like Dave Filoni, he had to end things the way he ended them in Clone Wars is because Revenge of the Sith is. You know what I mean?
And that's my thing about the prequels.
So I like that they weren't in there because...
Well, and here's the other thing is that as exclusive as Episodes 1 through 6 are about what they show, what's going on in the galaxy, 1 and 3 probably being the biggest exception to that idea, because you're seeing maybe like 1 and 2. 1 and 2, you're seeing a lot of what's going on elsewhere. But 3, 4, 5, 6, you're seeing the main cast, and that's about it. But 7 through 9, it's like way whittled down because it's all new characters. We don't already have the ones we're familiar with, so we can add on a whole lot. So we're seeing like a teensy-weensy, itsy-bitsy piece of what's actually going on in the galaxy.
Episode 9, you're finding out what Rey and Kylo Ren are doing in the world. Right.
And so there's so much room for them to still exist. You know what I mean? To still be around. It's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, I think, dude, and how many ships were in that fleet when Lando was like, there are more of us, Poe? Like, there was like thousands.
Yeah.
50,000 ships, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Like they said, the
more
biggest
ships that have ever been on screen.
Ever been. Biggest fleet that anyone's ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like...
Think about all those speeders we saw in Episodes 2 and 3 when we're on Coruscant. I guess Episode 1, 2 a little bit.
So think about that, and like, yeah, maybe very, very, very far corner, if they wanted to, they could put the Razor Crest in there from The Mandalorian. But I think part of it is, in the real world that we live in, Jon Favreau is not going to be like, yeah, you know what? Go ahead and make sure my characters are here and this is how they live or die. Like, if I'm him, you guys are finishing your big thing. I'm the up and coming thing. I'm the big thing on Disney Plus. Let me have my own vein that I run through. And maybe the freaking Mandalorian is not concerned with the First Order. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that could just be recruited on a whim like Wedge Antilles.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
when the thing about the Mandalorian is it's the plight of the Outer Rim. It's the tertiary character conflict. You know what I mean? They're staying away from the main line.
Yeah.
And so I want to see it explored like that.
Right. And that's one of the, we've said this many times, but that's one of the fears of, guess what? Ahsoka and Ezra and Thrawn and Sabine and Zeb and Chopper and Kanan's ghost and Hera are all going to be here. And then Kanan and Hera's weird mixed baby has head tails but not really purple hair kid is going to be in there.
Did they have a kid?
Yeah. At the very, very, very end of Rebels.
Oh.
I can't remember his name.
But it escaped me, I guess. It's kind of like John C. Reilly's kid in Guardians of the Galaxy. He kind of marries a Twi'lek-looking chick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember what the kid's name is, but Hera, she's flying and he's like in her lap or something. Very, very last episode. Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
But whatever. You should have seen it.
Yep. All right. Well.
But those are the questions. So, do you have anything that you just, if you could know one thing about Baby Yoda, what would it be?
I think I don't really care where he's going because I'm going to see that. I would just like to have Yoda species explored more because those are things I've wondered since I was a child. Since I was the child.
Ooh.
You know, I had my Jedi decks and I looked, up Yoda species and I was like, insufficient information, we need more,
Yeah.
I can read about like a freaking Reek, but I can't read up about Yoda.
Right. So would you like to know more or would you like it to stay a secret?
I like the small numbers, like every single member of the species is very special and precious, but I would like to know about them at the same time. You know what I mean? Like you can uncover secrets about them and they still remain exclusive.
Yeah. I remember years ago whenever there was going to be 3 other movies when Rogue One was coming out and they were like, okay, the next set of movies besides the Skywalker Saga is going to be a Boba Fett movie, an Obi-Wan movie, a Yoda movie. Those were the 3. Obi-Wan's getting a show. Boba Fett movie kind of turned into The Mandalorian. And then Yoda's still out there.
I guess Yoda also turned into The Mandalorian.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Perhaps.
So I think, I'd want to know more. Part of me that's kind of petty wants it to come out in a book so that we can still have exclusive rights because who's going to read the book besides me and you?
And more than that, I like that you can spend more time on something in a book. You know what I mean? Because there's never ever been a movie that's more in depth than the
Give
book
it to
version.
Claudia Gray. Let her write a Yoda backstory.
Let her have it.
I'm 100% in.
All the way in.
So, those are some burning questions about Baby Yoda. If you have questions that we didn't cover or ideas, feel free to comment below. And make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at the Chiss Ascendancy. And so, until we see you next time, may the Force be with you.
And remember, the only family you have here is me.
We'll see you guys next time.